The bad news when it comes to the portal, it seems like Alabama is already down 17 points in the second quarter. The good news is we've been there before.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for joining us every day because you help make Locked On the number one sports podcast network there is, period, end of discussion. But not really, because we're going to discuss at least 3 segments worth of stuff. So, Jimmy, the transfer portal, out of control. I want to talk about the semis at the Ole Miss Miami game and the Indiana Oregon game later on, but this portal thing, man, it seems like once you get some good news, you immediately get bad news. Once you get bad news, you might immediately get good news. You have no idea what's happening. I think since we've been on last, Isaiah, I wrote all this down. I had to. Isaiah Horton has gotten in the portal. Jacarrius Peak has committed to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Ty Haywood, who was at one time committed to Bama and flipped to Michigan, is in the portal. Jordan Ross, who everybody was super excited about. Yay, Jordan Ross. I mean, hey, the Vestavia guy going to come home, do good. He signed with LSU like 15 minutes ago. Cam Coleman still coming in, we think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't trust anything in the portal anymore. And again, I don't know how to spin any of this in a positive nature. But I will say this. Now that Ole Miss is out of the playoffs, they may be losing some people to the portal. In fact, I would be willing to bet they do lose some people to the portal. Maybe we go after some of those dudes. Again, I'm not being like the sky is falling here. But at the same time, not getting Jacarrius Peak, not getting Jordan Ross, that hurts.
Yeah, and you didn't even really get them on campus. I mean, that's the thing. You do have to get them on campus and check them out. You can't just watch tape and say, I want this guy. I mean, you do have to meet them, get to know them a little bit. I mean, you know, the first way you know how to destroy a locker room, invite a bunch of kids here and put them on the team that you've never met. I mean, so, you know, it's disappointing that we couldn't get them to campus before they were offered such high dollars that they had to accept it. Now, as to each individual kid, I agree. I think, you know, Jacarrius Peak was going to be sort of like, to quote Seinfeld, that was going to be the salve, you know, to cure the wound. He was going to fix a lot of the offensive line things, and it was disappointing that not only do you not land him, he never even made it here. That's a big loss. I'm super interested to see what Alabama can do in terms of signing offensive linemen to start. That's what Alabama needs. They need to find starters in the portal, or at least guys that will push to start. That's what you need in the portal, not depth. They need starters and depth on the offensive line group. Jordan Ross, though, here's the thing. This will sound like sour grapes because I didn't speak a lot about Jordan Ross while he was available. That kid has played 2 years at Tennessee, and he's played. It's not like he's just been on the bench or hurt or special teams. He's played 2 years at Tennessee and has 1.5 sacks. And LSU reportedly paid $1.5 million to get him. Hey, look, if that's what that costs, the sport has clearly lost its mind. I'm not going to lose. And plus, he's a wolf in our scheme. He plays a different position in everybody's scheme. In our scheme, he's a wolf. Right now, we're scheduled to return Yanze Pierre and Justin Hill at wolf. He was probably a third wolf for us. Why would we pay that level of money for a player who might have even been the third guy? So I don't lose any sleep over that one. Peak is a huge loss because he's a guy that would have stepped in and been the starting left tackle day one and really improved the entirety of the offensive line. That's a big loss. But at the same time, it's hard to say we lost him when we never really sat down and negotiated a deal with him. He agreed to someone else's deal before he ever even got here.
Well, the other thing that's the problem is not they just both of these guys decided to go somewhere else. They're going places that we play next year. I mean,
Right.
That's the other thing that's a problem is, it's not only that you don't get Jacarrius Peak, you play against him with South Carolina. And all of a sudden that South Carolina game, you remember that the SEC created these schedules to try and be as equitable as possible. I mean, it's going to be tough. Some schedules are going to be easier than others. I mean, Kentucky should be easier than Alabama's. I mean, bottom line, but now that South Carolina game, which was probably put on there as, well, okay, if we're going to give Alabama, Tennessee, and LSU and Georgia, we probably need to give them Kentucky and South Carolina. Well, that South Carolina one gets a lot tougher when they bring back Lenore Sellers and add Jacarrius Peak and have, I think Dylan Stewart's coming to it.
Dylan Stewart.
Kyle Nicholas Harbor is coming back. They've got dudes.
They got a handful of dudes. And I think, in terms of, look, everybody's got the same money. Everybody's got the same hard cap. It's clear that South Carolina has gone really heavy after a small handful of guys, and it is going to make them difficult to play, assuming they all stay healthy. Alabama tries to spread it out a little more because Alabama wants a deeper football team of good players. It's just a good example of how everyone does this a little bit differently. But South Carolina's top 4 or 5 stars are as good or better than anyone's. I don't know about once you get down to their top 20, top 25, top 30 players.
Yeah. It's all this is concerning. Meanwhile, the good news is Cam Coleman will be on campus. The bad news, of course, Isaiah Horton got in the portal. It's funny. According to 24/7's rankings, Isaiah Horton is the second best receiver in the portal. Cam Coleman is the first. I find that to be a little high for Isaiah Horton. I thought Isaiah Horton would be coming back. I would have been happy to have him. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I've looked at every wide receiver in the portal, but that Nick Marsh guy from Michigan State headed to Indiana, pretty doggone good. This Tony Diaz, who is coming to Alabama for a visit, apparently. That was a redshirt freshman that played very well this year. I mean, he was certainly more productive. Now, Isaiah Horton is leaving Alabama. One of the reasons he was very tight with Ty Simpson, and Ty is going pro. And so, I guess Isaiah is testing the waters. I don't blame him. Go for it. But if we get Cam Coleman, I'll forget Isaiah Horton was on this team.
Yeah, I would consider Cam Coleman an enormous upgrade from Isaiah Horton, actually. And I don't get ranking Horton second. As a matter of fact, I don't spend much time on those transfer portal rankings for that reason. But one thing I'm confused, and maybe you know the answer to this. Do they mean that Horton's the second best receiver in this cycle to have entered at wide receiver, or do they not count the guys who have already not count the guys who have already committed elsewhere? Because I think it's the second best in this. I'm going to look it up again while you talk about.
That's
just kind of crazy to me. I mean, is he the second best available at this moment, or the second best receiver that's entered the portal this cycle? I mean, that's two different questions.
No, it's I'm looking at again 24/7 right now. He is the second best in the portal because Omarion Miller, who I also love out of Colorado, who's committed to Arizona State. Shout out to the Sun Devils and my son. And then Reed Harris from Boston College, also committed to Arizona State. Shoot, they have Nick Marsh at like number 9 or something. Isaiah Canyon from Georgia Tech, who's committed to Georgia. I think he's very good. Quincy Porter. Let me tell you something. If you told me right now, Luke, you can take a flyer on Quincy Porter, who was a 5-star last year, who I absolutely loved out of New Jersey, or you can have Isaiah Horton back. I'm taking Quincy Porter. Again, this is not sour grapes. I like Isaiah Horton, and maybe we never tapped into the potential he has for various reasons. Maybe we didn't.
He actually had a more productive season at Miami in terms of catches and yards than he had at Alabama, and some of that was obviously due to the fall off in production over the second half of the season.
And Cam Ward was his quarterback.
Yeah, sure. Here's a funny thing I heard about Horton, but this is the transfer portal. This is just my understanding. I don't know all of the details, so I'm sure Horton's agent would shoot some of this down. But there's just my understanding is I don't think Horton was like, hey, I don't like it at Alabama. I want to find some other place to play. I'm getting in the portal. I don't think it was that at all. I think Horton's decision was, I'm going to enter the draft. Where would I go in the draft? And I think from feedback in terms of where we go in the draft, which would be maybe as high as the 3rd round, maybe as low as the 5th round, and you look at the money he would make next year as a 3rd to 5th round pick, I think the agent's like, you would make more than that by entering the portal. You make more money next year in college football. So let's go into the portal because that's a better financial deal for you than the draft. And Alabama wasn't going to, again, give Horton some sort of dramatic raise when you're recruiting Cam Coleman and others. So I think ultimately, and he did come here, like Luke stated, that is true. He was here because of Ty. If Ty Simpson had not been the starting quarterback for Alabama last year, I don't think Horton would have signed with Alabama in the first place. I don't know whether he stayed at Miami or gone somewhere else or what, but he did sign with Alabama largely because he wanted to play with Spuddy, Ty Simpson.
Also, it's not lost on me that the 2 guys who have caught the game-winning touchdowns in the Iron Bowl the last 2 times in Auburn have both transferred from Alabama.
3,
right?
3 if you count Jacarrius Brooks.
Oh, my God. My mind blown. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, because I immediately went to Jacarrius Brooks and not Isaiah Bond. But it's such a shame that there's this. But consider that, again, 1/3 of all college players are in the portal. So if you're like, wow, 33% of all college players, keep in mind, that's 33% of college players in this specific portal. During the course of their careers, if they spend 4 or 5 years playing college football, and 1/3 of all players enter the portal every time, that means like every single player that's out there is going to enter the portal twice and over the course of their 4 or 5 years. It's just what we have right now, and I hate it. All you can do is hope that Alabama's a winner in the portal. And after the break, I'll talk about how I'm going to judge whether Alabama won the portal or not. And bad news at the moment, we're as Luke said in the cold open, we're behind.
Let's talk a little Rougiette. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about something most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work and money and life and the transfer portal. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougiette Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rougiette Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body. You can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment is right. Rougiette Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in one little old mint that dissolves under your tongue, so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rougiette Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both the mental and physical readiness. If you have been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. Get 15% off your order with that code. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. That's for a limited time. Rougiette Ready. Feel present. Feel confident. Feel ready. It's a Jimmy Stein guarantee. He'd also like you to call him afterwards and tell him.
Yeah, no play-by-plays, please.
Let me say this. I know you want to talk about where we stand in the transfer portal. So the 2 positions that stand out to me that we need help, because one thing I learned watching last night, watching Miami specifically, you need an offensive and defensive line, and Miami's got them. Miami's got those dudes. And Ole Miss was lacking, and that's every time Miami had like a 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, whatever, they said, we're just going to hand it off to Fletcher, and y'all can't stop him. And if y'all do stop him, our offensive line is going to push him past the line of scrimmage and into past the first down mark. So, again, these are on 3 rankings. I could use, 24/7. I could use on 3. It doesn't matter, or rivals or whatever. Somebody's bought somebody. It doesn't matter. But so offensive line, Kearney, I'm not sure which one it is, for LSU. He's the number 1 player. He's already transferred from LSU and committed to Ole Miss, which is ironic, of course. But he's not signed. So, could Could something change there? Sure. Lance Hurd is transferring from Tennessee. He's the second ranked tackle and 6'6", 330. I have not heard his name associated with Alabama. He may be wanting too much money. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some names out there. Then you got Jacarrius Peak, of course, to South Carolina. The other thing that's interesting, I mean, I look at this. So the number 1 tackle is leaving an SEC, going to SEC. Number 2 is leaving SEC and probably going to end up in SEC is my guess. Number 3 is going to South Carolina, SEC. Number 4, Colton Price, going to Kentucky, SEC. Amarian Harris is number 5, going to Oklahoma, SEC. Wilkin Formby is number 6. Make that of it what you will. He's going to A&M, so staying in the SEC. Bryant Williams from Louisiana Lafayette to Arkansas, SEC. Xavier Chaplin from SEC, I'm not sure where he's going. And then you got Colt Dietrich, who's committed to Washington. And then Tegra Shabola, leaving Ohio State. I know he visited Auburn. I think he's visiting some other SEC teams here shortly. But on the defensive line, you got Chaz Coleman, who I don't think Alabama's pursuing. He's the number 1 player, maybe in the portal to some people, out of Penn State. You got Damon Wilson. Now, this one's interesting. Of course, from Georgia, goes to Missouri last year, has a great year, but he does seem like he's a very litigious type of guy. And so I just don't know that you want to screw with that. And of course, number 3 is James Smith. Then you've got the Florida State twins, Mandrill and Daryl Desir. I haven't heard Alabama's name associated with. Then you got Devin Tompkins. I wish our name was associated with more of these guys. Now, again, Ole Miss, some dudes are about to get in the portal. If you're an Ole Miss fan, listen, they're not getting they're getting in the portal. Some folks are getting in the portal. And then after tonight, Indiana or Oregon will have some dudes getting in the portal almost immediately because one of them's going to lose and one of them's going to start losing guys in the portal.
Players from schools not even associated with the playoff that aren't in the portal yet. For instance, Isaiah Horton, who's now one of the highest rated receivers in the portal. He wasn't in the portal when we woke up yesterday morning.
Correct.
So a lot can happen because the portal window remains open for another 8 days. I think we have another 8 days of this, at least 7. So we're not even halfway done. A lot can change, but let's talk about, in terms of, I agree with Luke that the offensive line and defensive line has to remain the top priority, especially the offensive line. You got some interesting guys, but I'll start with Ty Haywood. This was a 5-star talent that everybody in the world wanted, that was an Alabama fan a year ago, committed to Alabama. I think he committed to Alabama, wanted to be there. Mom was a fan. And again, a 5-star super talent. But last minute hires an agent who talks them into doing, frankly, the smart thing. And that's looking around, shopping around. And they end up with a financial offer from Michigan that they don't turn down. So it goes to Michigan, and he's there for a year. Ty Haywood redshirted at Michigan, similarly to Jackson Lloyd redshirting at Alabama last year. Same class, same position. He redshirted. Is that a negative? Of course not. Long term, this is a position as a developmental position, and Michigan's very good on the offensive line. It's the strength of their program. As a matter of fact, if you land a Ty Haywood, I'm going to consider it good on the surface that you got 2 Michigan guys, because that's sort of like getting wide receivers from Ohio State. But yeah, Ty Haywood would be nice. Jimothy Lewis, who has SEC experience as a left tackle, probably an Alabama lean. That could happen in the next couple of days. DJ Chester is on campus as we speak. He's from LSU. He started as a redshirt freshman every game, 13 games as a redshirt freshman, started every game. Several of those games he played every single snap. Started 4 games this past year. He has positional versatility. He's played games in the SEC at center, guard, and tackle. Alabama likes him in the interior, where they need players. So those are some names. Again, Jimothy Lewis and DJ Chester would be solid pickups because those are guys that might start or certainly provide quality depth. That would be good. But I think Ty Haywood has more upside here. I would be more excited about him just simply because that's a guy I feel has some real NFL potential. The concern would be, is he ready? It's the same question we'll be asking about Jackson Lloyd this spring. I mean, I know a lot of people want to pencil him into the lineup. I want to pencil him into the lineup too, but he has yet to prove that he's ready to be a starter in this league. But that's what spring practice is for. We'll find out.
You know, the other thing is you not only have to spend money in the transfer portal, you also have to be an incredible evaluator. I mean, think about Ole Miss for a second. Trinidad Chambliss didn't command a ton of money coming from a Division II national championship team. They just struck gold because Lane Kiffin evaluated him very well. And then as the season went on, he started kicking butt. And my guess is while his rev share doesn't go up during the year, his NIL probably did go up during the year, because I know he did that. He's done that one transfer portal commercial for AT&T or something. So, and he didn't get that because he was a backup at Ole Miss. He got that after he became the starter about midway through the season. So you've got where you're talking about Jimothy and DJ, these two offensive linemen. I mean, it'd be great to get them, but as somebody on a text chain with us pointed out, I mean, they seem like guys. I mean, they seem like guys. They're good players, decent players, but they ain't Jacarrius peak. I mean, no. We don't need to pretend like they are. I'm going to tell you, I'm probably more concerned than others, but there is somebody who sent an email that I want to talk about that maybe we shouldn't be quite that concerned. I want to tell you about FanDuel now, because FanDuel's the absolute best. Y'all know it. I know it. Why even hide it anymore? FanDuel. And the college football playoff is and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite team you think that controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset brewing, or build a parlay around the players and moments you think could decide the game. Then you apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is the perfect way to watch a playoff football game. FanDuel is the best place to get in on the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. Jimmy Stein guarantee. So I'm very concerned. Because I watched last night, specifically the fourth quarter, made me think, wow, that's the way Alabama used to look. I didn't see us look that way just about all year, except for maybe the first little bit of the Georgia game. I've got a lot of concerns. I've got a lot of worries. I'll be honest with you. I'm not super excited about the direction of everything right now. I probably should be. I probably shouldn't be so down. And I also realize it's relative to the success we had under vintage Saban, but I'm still a little worried. Now, that said, a listener named Robert M., that's too obvious, we'll go with R. Maddox, he sent an email that said, look, I know y'all were talking about the Rose Bowl butt kicking and how that it is very concerning. He said, but consider this. Bear Bryant's 1971 team lost to Nebraska by 32 points. That was the largest bowl loss until the Rose Bowl, by the way. Then his 72 team went 10-2, and the 73 team went 11-1 and won part of a natty. And also that 72 team was the year of my birth, and it was also the Bama punt, so they probably should have gone 11-1. Gene Stallings in 90 lost to Louisville by 27 points, and then in 91 they went 11-1. Nick Saban's 2018 team lost by 28 to Clemson. Then the 2019 went 11-2 and probably would have done better if Tua hadn't gotten hurt. There's no doubt about it. I hate to be the Colt McCoy didn't get hurt guy, and then the 2020 team was one of the best, maybe the best college football team of all time. Lastly, Mike DuBois' 1998 team lost to Vitek by 31. Then the 99 team went 10-3. He was just saying that, it's always darkest before the dawn sometimes. That said, this particular team, to my knowledge, doesn't have Sean Alexander and Chris Samuels on it coming up next year. And that was the main reason that squad won that. And also, I would say that while the 99 schedule was difficult because we did have to play Steve Spurrier's Florida team twice, and we also played Tom Brady in the bowl game, I'd be willing to bet that the schedule we have next year is tougher than what that team is going to be facing. So I appreciate the optimism, and it does give me a glimmer of hope. That said, Jimmy, I'm more and more worried daily, and it's not because I don't think it's lack of effort. I also think the assertion that, well, now everybody's paying people, so the SEC and Alabama and Georgia can't dominate. I don't think that's what it is. I think that it's a shift in mindset. It used to be, oh, Alabama and Georgia are the hottest things going. They are also the ticket to the NFL, so let's go there. And even if we're a backup, we play best on best. Well, now you can say, oh, I can go to Texas Tech and make $5 million, which Shadur Sanders' rookie contract is like 3 years for $4 million total. And Brendan Sorsby can do $5 million in 1 year. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Well, I'm not. I'm more in wait and see mode. I mean, I get and understand some of the negativity, but a couple of things to address. First of all, like bringing in guys like DJ Chester and Jimothy Lewis, they haven't committed yet, and who knows, they could end up choosing somewhere else. They have multiple good offers. It's not just Alabama. But one big difference between bringing them in and comparing them to guys like Vandermark and Dewberry, Vandermark and Dewberry came in as near finished products. Dewberry came in as a senior. Vandermark came in as a junior. And they were brought in for depth, and they both ended up playing substantially, but neither one of them were full-time starters at their prior place. DJ Chester was. He was a full-time starter as a freshman. Vandermark and Dewberry weren't that at all. They were playing, but they weren't full-time starters. Further, Chester and Jimothy Lewis are young. Chester's got 2 more years. Jimothy Lewis has 3 more years. These are developing. We don't know what they're going to look like as seniors, and they were both highly rated guys. DJ Chester was a top 150 guy out of high school. Jimothy Lewis went to IMG. I mean, these were highly rated guys. I think they're, especially based on their age, they're arriving with more upside than the other guys did, who were upperclassmen who had already played quite a bit, and again, hadn't achieved what Chester achieved. And as far as comparing Alabama to Ole Miss and Miami, well, Alabama lost in the quarterfinals, and those were semifinalists. So, of course, they're better than Alabama this year. And I'm not going to say that they aren't better than Alabama this year, but we can't compete with that stuff. Maybe from the eyeballs last night, that's what some people took. But I want to remind people that Ole Miss lost in Athens, Georgia. Alabama won in Athens, Georgia. As good as Miami looked last night, and they are good, and I'm not saying Alabama's better than Miami. They're certainly not. Miami's playing for the national championship. They deserve that. Miami also lost to Louisville and SMU. I'm saying that Alabama could beat those teams. I know Miami can beat them too, but I'm saying Alabama can beat teams that beat Miami. I also think Alabama finished the SEC regular season in first place. They probably would have won the ACC. If they win the SEC, they probably would have won the ACC. Miami didn't do that. So I think that everyone out there is flawed. No one is this dominant, perfect team except possibly Indiana, and Alabama got the business into that. Alabama's got to get better. My concern is so far in the portal part of the season, you are not improving your football team. You've had more good players leave than what you've bought in, and that's the concerning part to me. But the good news is we're not even halfway done with the portal season. So let's see how it plays out. I think complaining that we lost a game while it's still ongoing, I'm not going to do that. I didn't do that in several games this year where there was a deficit and Alabama came back and won the game. That could easily happen here with the portal. So let's see how it plays out. But as of right now, and that's how I evaluate the portal, are you bringing in something as good or better than what you've lost? As of now, they have not. So let's see how it plays out.
Well, let's hope that we get some good news here shortly. Boy, I'll tell you something. If you want to watch you want to turn a lot of frowns upside down, you get Cam Coleman to commit. Now, I'm still saying 20%. So don't think that I'm predicting that. I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'll bump mine up. How about this? I'm going to bump up my Cam Coleman optimism to 25%.
Whoa.
How about that?
Whoa.
Exactly. I think, well, the Horton loss frees up more money. There's an obvious spot. There's more of a need. There's more of an obvious spot. But that said, I mean, I want Cam Coleman. I definitely want Cam Coleman. I couldn't think any more highly of him. Well, I talk about getting excited. How about a wide receiver core with Cam Coleman, Ryan Williams, and Lotsier Brooks? Holy moly. But the need is the big guys. That's the need, and I'm not saying it happens this way. I would hate to spend the money on Coleman and then end up, $500,000 short on a tackle, I mean, you really need the lineman more than you need the wide receiver. Oh, but I'd be excited about Coleman. And let me tell you, that wide receiver coming in from the tiny Texas school, because Texas Rio Grande Valley, I mean, this is like super small. The highlight tape is fun. I don't know how it would translate to the SEC. It's sort of like high school recruiting when you get all excited about signing a 1A player. You kind of have to wait and see till they get there, that those highlights weren't exactly against apples to apples competition, but the highlight tape is fun. Maybe Tony Diaz is a thing. That's very possible watching the tape.
That would be interesting if we got Diaz and Cam Coleman. And, I wonder if one of them can block.
You only have 4 receivers, period, on the team right now. They're going to have to add wide receivers. They have to add wide receivers. It'd be nice to add big-time guys, but they have to add some wide receivers or you can't practice. So that's coming.
All right. That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.